Hello everyone, and welcome back to No Sugar Challenge Cooking. Now today, what I'm going to be making is something called a Fathead pizza. Now for people who are trying to cut sugar out of their diets and people who are trying to do low carbohydrates, this is probably the best kind of crust that I have found. I have tried using cauliflower crust before, and I didn't really care for it. And all the other store-bought crusts that I've seen, they usually have more carbohydrates to them per serving than what I really care for. So I like this crust because even though I'm not doing a specifically keto diet, I found a lot of keto recipes work for the way that I am eating and the way I do my no sugar challenge. So this crust is keto friendly for anyone who is doing a keto diet, so that's good. And I'm just going to go based on a recipe that I found online for the crust. It's what I do every time I do it because I can never remember the exact proportions, but after this time I think I will remember, because what you want one large egg. You want about 2 tablespoons of cream cheese, and I just cut these into, quarters of those 2 tablespoons so that they'll heat evenly when we heat them up. Then I used 85 grams of almond flour, and that translates to about 1 cup for people who aren't going to be measuring it out at home, who just want to use their measuring cups. 85 grams of almond flour is about 1 cup of a measuring cup. And I've got my mozzarella cheese here. Now I'm not sure if this is part skim, whole milk, whatever. It's just what I could find. The best kind of mozzarella cheese would obviously be off the block, and most pizza makers I've found prefer whole milk, low moisture cheese, because it keeps the pizza from getting soggy and it dries a lot better on top, it cooks better. So like I said, I don't know exactly what kind of mozzarella this is, but it's what I'm going to use. And then to season the crust, I've got some light salt here, which is just a blend of regular salt and I think it's potassium chloride, which is a salt substitute. Yes, that's correct. And it just helps to lower the salt content for someone who's bigger like me, and for other people who may have, blood pressure problems. You don't want a lot of salt in your diet. So I found this really doesn't change the taste with the potassium chloride mixed in with the regular table salt. It's pretty good. And I just got some Italian seasoning and garlic powder that I'm going to add in here to give it a little more flavor, and a little black pepper as well. And yeah, those are the ingredients for the crust. So I'm going to go ahead and start combining these. Now what you want to do is you want to have a microwave safe bowl. Now I like to use this big 4-cup glassware mixing bowl. And you're just going to take your cheese and your almond flour, put it right in there. And you want to take a spoon and just kind of mix your dry ingredients around a little bit. Alright, get them kind of well combined. Then you take the cream cheese, they're just going to throw it right on top. And we're going to take this, we're going to actually put it in the microwave for about 1 minute. And then we're going to stir it. So be back in just a minute. Okay. Our cheese mixture has been in the microwave for 1 minute now. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and add my seasoning. I'm going to go ahead and just put in a few shakes of garlic powder, some Italian seasoning, and you just measure this stuff as you so choose. Now if you want to take a measuring spoon, you can. I don't really do that often with spices. So you just add in salt and some black pepper, And that's pretty well spiced. Now the reason I add my spices at this step is because it's easier to combine them. What you do is you just take a metal spoon and you stir the cream cheese in along with the almond flour and the mozzarella. Now this ain't done yet. This is not done yet. What we're going to do is we're going to get this stirred up to where it's in a shaggy ball. Everything is starting to stick together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put it back in the microwave for about another 30 seconds, because see, that is clearly not well combined to turn into a dough yet. So I'll be back in another 30 seconds. Okay, now at this point we're going to take our spoon, we're going to stir it around a little more, and it's starting to combine a little better, but we're still missing something, and that would be the egg. Now the reason we put the egg in there, it's going to combine everything, it's going to give everything a nice adhesive texture. Well, not adhesive, but you'll see. It'll bring everything together. So, got our egg in there, and we're just going to mix it around, make sure bust the yolk open. And I'm not sure how it will do if you used egg whites rather than just a regular egg, or if you used egg beaters. I'm sure it would be very similar. But there's going to come a point when you're doing all this where the spoon just isn't quite going to cut it anymore, and you're going to have to get your hands dirty. Now, normally I like to wear gloves at this stage, but because of everything that is going on in the world, I can't find no gloves. I ran out a few weeks ago, and I've looked every time I go to the store. I've looked online, and I just can't seem to find any gloves. Now the ones I use are usually powder-free nitrile gloves, and those work really good for this. Since they're powder-free, you don't have to worry about whatever kind of stuff they put on them as you're using them for food, but you just want to kind of knead this in your glassware bowl until it all gets fairly well combined. And I'm actually going to say that this is good. Now the difference between this and traditional pizza dough is you don't have to let this rise, because there's no rising agent in it. There's no yeast, there's no sugar. The thing that gives it its texture and lets it be like regular pizza dough is actually the egg. Because one thing I've learned from making a lot of keto dishes and doing some keto baking is the egg is what is usually used for the leavening purposes of the dough in keto recipes. Now, as I said, I'm not on a strict keto diet, but I use a lot of keto recipes for the way of eating that I do. Give me a second, I'm going to wash some of this off my hands. Or actually, first, before I do that, since I'm going to have to touch the dough again, I'll go ahead and lay out some parchment paper. And I am actually only going to use half of this dough, because I have plans for the other half of it, and also I don't want to make a ginormous pizza. So I'm going to take one bit of dough, put it there, and wash my hands right quick. I'll be right back. Okay, hands are clean. Now you want to take a second piece of parchment paper and just want to put this right on top of the first. Now, what I like to do is kind of smush it down a little with my hand before I go for my rolling pin. Just kind of give it a somewhat even shape as best you can. Then you take your rolling pin. You can use a wine bottle if you don't have a rolling pin, or if you have a dough roller, that would work as well. Now, I'm not going to roll this out too thin, because it is going to be a pizza crust, and I don't want it to be paper thin. But I'm just going to sit here, roll it out like this. Now you could use the full amount of the dough and get yourself a bigger crust, but as I said, I have plans for the other dough. This is just about right. I'm going to see if I can't even up this one spot right in here. I just coaxing a little more of it in this direction, and no, that's about how it's going to be. Okay, so now I'm not making a large pizza, like I said. I'm just one person. I cook for just one person, and I'm going to be careful taking this off. My dough is a little more sticky than it normally is, but you got this here. Now, before we started, and I should have said this, you want to preheat your oven to 425 Fahrenheit, which is about 220 Celsius. And what I'm going to do is, since this is already more sticky than what I thought it was going to be, I'm going to take some olive oil, put a little on my hands, and just kind of rub it around here. Now, if you have a pizza stone, if you have a stone that you can heat up in your oven, that would work. I do not have a stone, so, and most people, I assume, would not have stones. So what I'm going to do actually is take one of these heavily grated pizza pans, I guess, and I'm just going to take my dough like this and just turn it upside down. Now I have the olive oil on the bottom side, and that's going to help prevent it from sticking to the pan. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to bake it for, I think, 15 minutes. And that, well, 12 to 15. You kind of want to watch it because you don't want this to burn. This is a little thinner than what I was wanting it to be, but it's okay. So, you can discard your parchment paper, and this is going to be your base for your pizza. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the oven. I'll see y'all again in about 12 to 15 minutes. Alright, so I set my timer for about 12 minutes because I didn't want my cheese to burn, and that looks pretty good to me. Now, I haven't made this before, so there we go. Wasn't entirely sure how it was going to work, but for right now I'm going to use this pizza cutter here to just kind of go around the edges. Obviously you can use a spatula, but I don't know. This is having a little more trouble coming up than what I thought it would. Yeah, let me just lay down a sheet of parchment paper here, turn this over and see if I can't. There we go. Now it's released. I'll put our pizza pan off to the side, and now we have our crust. And this actually feels really nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it back over, and now we're going to add our toppings to it. You could put it back in for a little bit longer, so it's still a little flimsy, but the main thing is you want to cook it before you top it. So what I have here, I have my rowels again, like I had in my last video, and I'm just going to, that is a fork, that is not a spoon. I am just going to take my 1/4 cup measuring cup to make sure I get the right portion for this. Alright, that's a little less than 1/4 cup, so we're actually using less than what we would normally use for it. And just take it, put it on there. And I'm sure many people know how to sauce a pizza, but this is my cooking video, so therefore I am going to show you how I sauce it. Now, I like a little extra. The thing is though, you don't want to have too much, because that's bad. It'll make your pizza real soggy whenever it actually cooks. So this here, I can do just a little more. So I'm not even using all of what I had out. So this isn't even an entire serving of sauce. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some pepperonis, and I'm going to put them on here lightly because I'm actually adding another meat. Oh, wait. Almost forgot. Almost forgot. See how you can really get yourself heated up and get ahead of yourself? The cheese. Now this is the exact same cheese I used to make the crust. We're just going to take and sprinkle it on here. Get it fairly even. Add a little more. I'm not portioning this out like I probably should be because I didn't think about that ahead of time. But this is looking pretty good. So I say that's maybe a cup of cheese. Then you take your pepperonis, and like I said, I'm not using all of them because I'm actually going to be adding another meat to this. And gotta be careful, otherwise I won't have any room for the other meats. So that's pretty good. Actually, you know what? I was going to, but I'm not. I had some ground chicken I was going to add to this, but I was looking at it and I was looking at this and I'm like, you know what? This will be good as it is without the other meat. Now, if you had more space, if I had done a larger pizza, I probably could have gotten away with it. You know, putting more meat on there, but for now, this is pretty good. This is what I'm going to have for myself, and I think it's going to be pretty tasty. The dough was really nice. It's real nice and crispy on the outside, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this as it is, and take my pizza pan here, and I'm just going to slide it right back on the pan. And then, ooh, still a little hot in certain places. Then take your cheese, if you can, and put it back on top. And this is just going to go back in the oven for about 5, 6, 7 minutes, somewhere around there. Just enough to where the cheese is melted and the toppings are all reheated. Alright, pizza's in. And I will see all of y'all again in about 5 minutes. Okay, so I had the pizza in the oven for about 7 minutes, and I think that was just about right. Okay, you've got a little bit of the fat coming out of the mozzarella now, but you know, can't always help that. So I think this looks pretty good. Now, as with my pizza bake, I'm not going to bite directly into this because I don't want to just obliterate the inside of my mouth. But what I can do is go ahead and cut it and give you guys a cross section. So what I'm just going to do is take my pizza cutter. Really wish I had a sharper one than this, but I'm working with what I got. And you take, cut like this. I probably could have used one more pepperoni to even out these two slices, but you know, live and learn, right? Just take and pull this, and yeah, it's a little flimsy. It'll probably get a little better as it cools down some, but I think this is going to be pretty good. Better than the should have put a piece of parchment paper under it to keep the towel from getting pizza grease on it, but you know, whatever. This holds up. Ooh, still really hot. This will hold up really nice, better than the cauliflower crust that I have tried before, and I think it'll be good. So everyone, this was my way of making a fathead pizza. I've never made one of these before exactly like this, so definitely learned a few things from this video, and if I decide to remake this video in the future, I'm sure I will have learned more and be able to get a better finished product from this. So anyway, if you like this video, let me know, and as always, stay healthy.